authoritative evening political show, Hot News. We are live on Pan-African Television. We're also live on Facebook at Pan-African Television, on YouTube at Pan-African Television, as well as 48 African countries. You can join in the conversation by sending in your views, comments, and contributions on our WhatsApp/text line. I'll be reading those messages out for you. Those of you watching us on Facebook can share the Facebook Live for other people to also watch tonight's edition of the program. Don't forget to leave your suggestions, questions, contributions, and all of that on our socials, especially on Facebook, and I'll be reading those messages out for you. My name is Justice Appiah, and tonight on Hot News, we are still looking at the issues surrounding the sale of some 60% in SSNIT hotels to Brian Achampon's Rock City Hotel. This time around, the board chair of SSNIT, Miss Elizabeth Ohini, says selection of Rock City for SSNIT hotels was clean. And how is it so? She says the board chair of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SSNIT, Elizabeth Ohini, has unequivocally defended the integrity of the process that resulted in the selection of Rock City, owned by Food and Agriculture Minister Brian Achampon, as the preferred bidder to acquire a 60% stake in four SSNIT-owned hotels. According to her, the procedure that led to the selection of the Member of Parliament Co-Minister of State's company was transparent and in compliance with all regulations. I am able to say with the utmost certainty that the process that led to the selection of Rock City as the preferred bidder was clean, above board, and met every rule and regulation and can withstand every scrutiny, she categorically stated in an article titled "Coming Out of the Hotels." She continued by saying that Ms. Ohini made these remarks in her weekly column published in the state-owned newspaper Daily Graphic. This comes after the North Tongue Member of Parliament Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa blew the whistle on the deal and raised concerns about why SSNIT would sell 60% of its stake in the hotels to a Minister of State under questionable circumstances. Mr. Ablakwa subsequently petitioned the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice to investigate the transaction while questioning the legitimacy of the bidding process. Nonetheless, Ms. Ohini is confident in the integrity of the selection process. So that's what she's saying. But this is in contrast with what Mr. Freddie Blee said yesterday. Mr. Freddie Blee indicated that his son bidded. In fact, he offered to pay $150 to $200 million, but his bid wasn't accepted. And so if Ms. Ohini is saying this, how thorough was the process in selecting companies to bid for the 60% shares, especially so when somebody was willing to give an amount valuable enough as compared to what Rock City offered. We'll delve deeper into some of these issues. But another topic that we are going to be discussing on the show tonight is the New Patriotic Party's presidential bid in the upcoming election. Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, Vice President and flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, has selected Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh. In fact, he has presented Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh's name to the president as his running mate. We are waiting for the big announcement, but we'll also be looking at this on the show tonight. I've been joined in the studio by a brother and a friend, Edem Agbana. He is the parliamentary candidate on the ticket of the National Democratic Congress for Keta North Constituency. Edem, how are you doing? It's been a while.
Justice, I'm good, and I'm happy to be back here. I was away in the constituency working.
That's very
because
true.
We believe that as a constituency, we owe it to our republic, our motherland, Ghana, a leader who can be trusted, a leader who delivers on his mandate, a leader who cares, and a leader who can unite the entire country behind one vision. That leader is the nation builder, John Dramani Mahama. So I'm back in my constituency, working so hard for John Dramani Mahama. by God's grace, it's going well. We're not complacent, but we don't have a contest. That's all I want to say. We are not complacent, but we don't have a contest. Remember, prior to my primaries, right here on this platform, I mentioned to you that when I become the parliamentary candidate of the NDC in Keta North, we will make the NPP non-existent in the constituency.
You said it.
So that is exactly what is happening.
Right.
So we don't have a contest. In fact, I don't know who my opponent is, but we have challenged ourselves to get a certain margin of victory, and that is what we are working towards. And so I'm confident that in Keta North, all others are wasting their money, they are wasting their time, but it's part of the democratic process. But I can assure you that come 7 December 2024, John Dramani Mahama will get more than 90% in Keta North, and Erika Magbana will get more than 85% that we set for ourselves.
Congratulations in advance.
Thank you.
I can confidently say that you win that seat, of course. I mean, there's no debate on this particular one. You're winning hands down. So congratulations to you in advance. Also in the studio with me is Mr. George AC, Director of Communications, NADBO, and a member of a New Patriotic Party communications team. He's a brother and a friend also. Mr. AC, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, good evening, Justice.
I like your smile.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be on your set.
Right.
And you know, I wish my brother well.
Right.
But I think it's going to be difficult for him.
Okay.
Because the regional minister himself has interest in that constituency.
Okay.
And the regional chairman, they all have interest in that constituency. And so our candidate is going to do all he can to be able to, for the first time, annex the seat. Especially when Aveji is not going. My brother still has a long way to groom himself to rise to that challenge. And so our candidate is going to knock him
But he feels
out.
He feels that there's no contest to it. According to him, there's no
That's complacency.
He doesn't even know your... he doesn't even know
that's
your
complacency.
candidate.
That's complacency.
Right.
So I wouldn't begrudge him on that, but I think he should relace his boots, and then the contest is a serious contest.
Very well.
Yes.
All right.
So complacency, I mean, this is not a topic, but complacency is when you think because you win you are not working. But here we are in a constituency where I'm not the MP, my party is not in power, but in every sector I'm doing a whole lot of things. We can talk about the projects I'm doing in education. Just yesterday my students across Keta North finished a special mock examinations that I organized for them. So all 1,972 BEC candidates in Keta North, they finished a special mock examinations that I sponsored for them yesterday. Come next week, I'm presenting mathematical sets to all the BEC candidates across the constituency. I'm drilling boreholes as I speak. Just this week, the Wovenu Senior High School just got their share of the boreholes. Many others. Just yesterday, I signed an agreement with an NGO that will, from July, drill and mechanize 10 boreholes for 10 communities and many others, areas of sports and all of that. And your candidate is virtually not even existent in the constituency, and so we are not complacent. I mean, people must get the difference. We are confident, but we are not complacent. Come 1st July, which is just Monday, I'm starting my door-to-door campaign. My aim is to visit almost every home before December 7th. And so I'm not complacent. I'm only consolidating our gains. I'm working hard. And I know, and everybody watching us from Keta North will tell you that whatever his assertions are, I mean, that's his party, he will say it. But in Keta North, the NPP will not get 15% in 2024.
Let's see how it goes. But I'll start with you on the issue of the SSNIT hotels. You were part of the demonstration.
Yes.
I watched your interview with my colleague, Ivy Dedenakite, on Couch and all of that. The passion, I mean, the anger with which the demonstration was organized, and how you would want to see this government, rescind its decision on selling about 60% shares to a private person, especially somebody who is an appointee of this government. The chairman or the chairperson, let me say the chairperson of SSNIT Elizabeth Ohini says selection of Rock City for SSNIT hotels was clean. There wasn't any problem with it. Secondly, she could not fathom why you are accusing President Akufo-Addo and his government of being involved in this particular process, because the last time she checked, SSNIT is an independent body. The board is independent. They take whatever decisions that they would want to take without the president dictating to them. And so she's lost unless you have any information that she doesn't have. How would you respond to, these claims emanating from the quarters or the chair of SSNIT?
Well, Justice, let me say that first, I want to use your platform to commend the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa and all the believers in our freedom and our democratic principles. Those who came out to demonstrate on the 18th, those who joined us, those who have been voicing out their disagreement with the decision of SSNIT to sell these hotels to Mr. Brian Achampong. And so let me commend everybody who is fighting for the future of this country in this regard. Justice, this whole argument about selling of SSNIT's stakes or SSNIT's hotels to Brian Achampong can be analyzed, can be seen from various perspectives. And I get sad when communicators of the NPP, spokespersons of the government justify this sale, because one thing that we ought to be mindful of as a people is the fact that when you are given political positions or mandates, they are positions of authority intended to make you work for the good people of Ghana. When we entrust you with positions of power, it is not for your own sake. It is not for a self-seeking parochial interest. It is for you to use that position to work hard for the good people of Ghana. And so when you have positions of power, you ought to analyze, you ought to look carefully at offers that even comes before you, and then you must act in a way that will boost, that will bolster the image of politicians, of political leaders before the Ghanaian people. This whole issue about SSNIT deciding to sell its stakes in the hotels to Brian Achampong, it's one that is a conversation we shouldn't even be having, Justice. Why? Because Brian Achampong is a cabinet minister. Brian Achampong is a member of parliament on the ticket of the NPP. He sits at cabinet, and you're talking about SSNIT, a very critical, very important state asset, deciding to give out its state or its stake in a hotel or in hotels, and the one who won the bid miraculously, the one who won the bid is a member of that same cabinet, the same cabinet that would have decided or approved for such a decision to be taken. There is a reason why we have something called conflict of interest. And issues of conflict of interest in some countries, it is even so enlarged or to embrace even extended family members of people involved in such sales, such that you are not supposed to benefit from such sales. What are we talking about? We are saying that, one, SSNIT, how are you giving hotels that make so much profit, hotels that consistently have declared profit and paid their taxes, to a hotel that was formed or established a few years ago, that for the past 2 to 3 years has failed to declare profits to the GRA? How? It's a big question that we ought to be answering. Number two is the fact that shouldn't it, granted that even Rock City went through the processes rightly, shouldn't it prick the conscience of Brian to know that being a cabinet minister, being a member of parliament, someone acting on behalf of his people, he ought to be careful not to acquire state assets? That for a politically exposed person who wields so much power in cabinet, putting in a bid for a state property, do you think that with all the people who are on the SSNIT board, including Elizabeth Ogini herself, who look at Brian, a financier of their party, a key stakeholder in the NPP, a cabinet minister in their government, and say they will not give the hotels to Brian's company, even when other companies submit more competitive bids?
But Brian doesn't think that he's engaged in any conflict of interest situation. According to him, he's a non-executive member of the company.
Ultimately, who is the biggest shareholder of Rock City Hotel? So if Rock City acquires Pan-African TV today and they make profits, ultimately, who is the owner of Rock City? It is Brian. So that explanation that you are a non-executive member doesn't count, because at the end of the day, as the biggest shareholder of Rock City, or as the owner of Rock City, any expansion, any growth in their profit margins ultimately comes to you.
Okay.
So the issue of non-executive member doesn't come in. But I am questioning the fact that sometimes political elite, political leaders ought to be mindful of some of these things. If today we all decide that it is okay for politically exposed persons to be grabbing state assets here and there,
right,
to be making bids to own state assets here and there, in the next 2, 3, 4 decades, what state property will be there for our children to come and inherit?
Right.
We are saying that the sale must be halted. SSNIT must get back to the drawing board and find ways of managing their hotels so as to ensure that the operations of these hotels continue. So far, there is no proof that any of these hotels or the continuous running of any of these hotels poses a danger to the existence of SSNIT, especially when they are making profits and they are injecting this profit back.
But they didn't say that wasn't the argument. That wasn't the reason why SSNIT would want to give those hotels 60% of its shares out to those hotels.
Tell me why they want to sell it.
They were looking for strategic investors. Although those hotels may be making profit, of course, more profit wouldn't have changed anything. It wouldn't have caused.
But the more profit, when you give your 60% and it makes more profit, who does the profit come to? It doesn't come to you. So when you say you are looking for strategic investors, people go out and look for strategic investors for 1 or 2 reasons.
Okay.
One is when you realize that your continuous ownership of equity in a state has become unprofitable. But in this case, these hotels are very profitable. It employs lots of people. Why are you going to give the hotels out to a private investor? Why? Why would you want to do that? And so this argument of strategic investor, again, initially they made the argument that they wanted better management of these hotels. And my response is that if you want to give out any of SSNIT's stakes or enterprises,
right,
that is not profitable. Look at places like the STC.
Okay.
Where we know that Nana Kumia has run STC down. That for more than 4 or 5 years, STC has been running huge at loss. Huge sums of money has gone down the drain. Despite all the investments that President Mahama and the NDC made into STC before we left office, Investment that even Nana Akufo-Addo himself acknowledged. We left office, they have mismanaged STC, and STC is running at a loss. At the time, the other private transport owners, VIP, whichever buses, U-turn bus, all of these other private owners are making profits. But STC is making losses. Why are they not interested in selling off STC? Why are they not interested in investigating the reasons for the loss?
Okay.
So clearly, Brian Achampo and the NPP have just identified that there is a strategic investment with these hotels. We have 4 to 5 months to exit office. We have already sold a lot of state lands to ourselves. We've already allocated a lot of state properties to ourselves. What is left? Let's go to SSNIT. The hotels have remained. Let's see how we can share that as Toffees. But we are saying that take your hands off SSNIT. Because these pensioners, workers whose hard-earned salaries, they contribute parts of it to SSNIT, is what is keeping the scheme running.
Right.
These people, only a few months ago, you were engaged in a barbaric haircut, which even affected their pension funds.
Right.
Only a few months ago, you subjected these pensioners to suffering because of your terrible economic decisions. And at the end of the day, all they have left in their strategic scheme as SSNIT, all they have left, the properties that belong to SSNIT, that belong to all of us, you want to give it out to a cabinet minister, to a member of your party, and you're giving it out because you think that you need strategic investors.
What is the problem? Is the problem because Brian Achampo is an appointee of this government and you think that he may be engaging in conflict of interest situations? Or is it because Rock City, as a company, a separate entity on its own, is not qualified to bid for the 60% shares put out there by SSNIT?
There are many problems with the deal.
What are the problems? I really want to understand.
The first problem is even the decision by the SSNIT board to sell these hotels.
Okay.
It's problematic because till today they are unable to provide us with any logical reasons why they are selling these hotels. Number two has to do with the fact that the person who is buying it, the person who is benefiting from this deal, is a key member of this government, and we believe that the hotel is being given to him not necessarily based on meritocracy, but because he's a key member of this government.
Okay.
Number three is that we have heard and we have information to the fact that even other companies submitted bids higher, more competitive than that of Rock City.
What are these companies? Do you have an idea of what these companies are?
The former national chairman of the NPP mentioned that Heat Sounds Company submitted a bid of about $150 million to 200 million.
Okay.
And it was rejected. And these things are being given to Brian at how much? 61. Is that not it?
Very well.
So we believe that there was no fair competition
but according
for
to
the ownership.
SSNIT, I mean, a report that I read from SSNIT, I think it was a release. According to them, Rock City is the highest bidder. In fact, amongst all those who submitted themselves to bid, it was Rock City that presented their best bid, and that's how come they selected Rock City.
Justice, are you expecting a group of people determined
Right.
to hand over strategic state property to an individual to come up with another explanation other than what they have done? Don't forget, who are the people heading SSNIT? Osafo Mafo's son.
Right.
When we looked at the Japade document, a document that they continue to refute, it is inside there.
Right.
Document printed several years ago that as part of their strategic plans to continue their state capture,
Right.
Osafo Mafo's son will be brought in as a deputy director and later take over as the executive director. Is that not what is happening now? Is that not what is happening? Again, you don't expect SSNIT to come and tell you that other companies submitted bids that were more competitive. But the former national chairman of the NPP himself is out. And he is telling us that his children, his sons, submitted bids worth $150 million to $200 million. And so among these two, who is lying? Is it Freddie Blay, the former national chairman of the NPP? Or we should take SSNIT's word for it? And we are saying that even if Brian Achampon submitted the most competitive bid, which we know is not the case, it was wrong in the first place for a cabinet minister, for a politically exposed person, to put in a bid for a state property. And that is why going forward, I support the proposal that Parliament must introduce, members of Parliament led by Honorable Kujeto Ablakwa, must introduce a private members bill legislating against the sale of state properties, especially to politically exposed persons. When we allow this impunity to continue, tomorrow another government may come into office and somebody may just decide that, let me allocate the Flagstaff House to myself, let's sell it and get it for people who can manage it better. Another person will come and say, let me sell off GBC. Another person will come and say, let me sell off the airport. And before we realize, all state properties will be gone. I'm telling you, as a journalist, and I expect your media house to investigate this. Not too long ago, I got a call from one of the chiefs in Greater Accra. The Ghana chiefs are angry. They are angry about the fact that over the last 8 years, most of the state lands, most of the Ghana lands have been allocated to persons within this government. In the name of privatization, in the name of strategic investors. What has happened to the trade fair? You tell me. What has happened to trade fair? And people are angry about these things. But they are not talking because they are waiting to express their anger through the ballot on December 7th.
Right.
Nothing justifies the sale of state properties to an individual who is a key member of this government, who occupies a position as sensitive, as critical as a cabinet minister. It is shameful, and all cabinet ministers, especially Brian Achampon, must desist from such activities.
Right. That was Edem Agbana. He is a parliamentary candidate for Keta North Constituency on the ticket of the National Democratic Congress. If you're watching us on Facebook, please share the Facebook live for other people to also watch tonight's edition of the program. Share the Facebook live for other people to watch tonight's edition of the program. Now, Zaisi, let me come to you. We've read what the SSNIT chair wrote in her article, but people think that she has not really addressed the real issues that were raised in that article. Others are also saying that if you look at what she is saying, it wouldn't be true, because it was just yesterday that the former chairman of your party, Mr. Freddie Blay, held a press conference, told the media that even if you look at the deal, the Sun actually submitted a bid between $150 to $200 million, yet it wasn't accepted. SSNIT rather preferred to give the deal to Brian Achampon's Rock City Hotel at $61 million instead of $150 to $200 million. Your take on that?
Yeah, thank you. Good evening. I think good evening to our viewers.
Right.
I've greeted Honorable, and good evening to yourself and the production crew. It would have been proper if Freddie Blay, Honorable, had given the Sun's company's name. I don't know if you know.
Okay.
Ives, Spartan Ives. It cannot be true. It's not true that they offered that much, because Spartan Ives is part of the shortlisted companies the 6 shortlisted companies, they are in it.
So you think that
Okay.
How much did they offer?
Come on, look, and the record shows Rock City offered $10 million more than the next bidder after his
That's
company.
according to SSNIT.
Yes, that's the SSNIT records. And so Freddie Blair should bring the records out. These are the facts of the table.
Okay.
So let's go. Don't worry.
He's a liar.
Don't worry. I disagree with what and he should give us the processes, and I'm going to give you the processes that we went through.
Go ahead.
Facts. Viewers, I'm a SSNIT contributor.
Okay.
And so when I'm speaking on these things, I'm very passionate about it.
Right.
The SSNIT hotels have been making consistent losses for the 14 years running. Now,
14 years running.
Yes, it's
Including
only
Labadi
Labadi,
Beach
you know.
Hotel. Okay.
It's only Labadi that has made only 2 years losses.
Okay. What about
Some
Ridge
have
Royal
made
Hotel?
11 years and others. Buzua Beach, I've had the privilege of sleeping in Buzua before.
Okay.
I've been in Almina Beach Resort before. La Palm, it's Labadi. I've not. I've been there for conference and
Right.
I've not slept there. Ridge Royal, I've slept there before. You get so I know these hotels. These are the ways the things went. They categorized the hotels into 3 lots. The first lot, La Palm, Labadi Beach Hotel.
Right.
Second lot, Almina Beach Resort and Ridge Royal. They are in Cape Coast. Then the third lot, Trust Hotel and Buzua Beach.
Okay.
Takrady. You get they are in the western region. Now the conditions were that one company cannot bid for more than 2 lots.
Okay.
You get it? You can bid, but you can bid for all, but you can't win more than 2 lots. What it means is that you can win either La Palm, Labadi, and Almina Beach and Ridge Royal, or La Palm, Labadi, and Buzia and Trust Hotel. The Trust Hotel is a small hotel in Takrady.
Okay.
You get it? So these are the Cape Coast one and the Takrady ones. But before I get into those details, right from 2017, when the MPP took over power, the SSNIT management went to somewhere along the line in the course of the year, went to the board requesting for money. You know, every month they know that free monies come to SSNIT. So they just go for it and then they use it to pay their staff, do whatever. You know, La Palm wasn't even paying the SSNIT contributions of his staff. And for 14 years, they've not declared dividends to shareholders. Facts.
Okay.
So only Labadi Beach that is declared about 1.7% or something, which is very minimal, but it's okay. Okay, so these are the facts. And so when they went to the board, then the board said, no, we can't continue to be dipping our hands in the monies that workers contribute, and then we give it to you to go and run, and you are not making profit. What was the initial purpose of making investment in these hotels? It's to make profit so that our pension can be guaranteed. True of us. It's strategic. It's investment for returns to show up the reserves of SSNIT. That is what the purpose is. And so the board said, no, we are not giving you any money. Go and find strategic investors to come and invest in the hotels.
Right.
Because you are not bringing anything to the kitty. Okay? And so that was when, that was the board. And I tell you, Workers' Labor Union has 4 representatives on the board.
Right.
Did they report back to the union leadership? I've had the privilege, both of us have had the privileges of being on the university council. Okay? So as student leaders, there are certain things you report back. Okay? There can be emergency SRC General Assembly meetings so that you discuss some of those things and get back. You get it? So these are matters that, did they report back to the TUC leadership?
Okay.
That is what we need to know. Okay? And so, fast forward. When that happened, from 2018, they started the processes of getting transaction advisors for the investment, 60% that is going to be given out.
Yeah.
And it was advertised globally. The Economy newspaper published it internationally. Okay, 15 individuals and companies applied to be transaction advisors and one won. Now, when they won, then they started the bid for the strategic investor itself. By strategic investor, they are not only looking for the money, they need the capital injection and then managerial acumen. Okay? Because they are not managing the company, the hotel as well, to make them profitable. And so these were the two conditions that they put on the table.
The information we had is about the fact that Ridge Royal was also making profit, or is also making profit. So out of the 6 hotels, if 2 are making profit, why put out those 2 that are making profit and declaring dividends also out there for sale?
Yes, you need capital injection. It's a matter of time that maybe those ones are also going to, and in investment advisory that they've given, every 5 years, investment needs capital reinjection. And so if you are not making profit and you are not injecting capital back into the investment, then there's danger ahead. And so Ridge Royal, as we speak, I'll be asking my brother some questions about, he talked about politicians and co. Right. And I know for a fact, Kitchen Rest House, Tamale, Kitchen Rest House, Sunyani, Kitchen Rest House, Kumasi, sold to their cronies.
Who are those people?
Ridge Royal, as we speak, 5% shares is owned by the Ahoy brothers. In fact, I was in Cape Coast. When I was in Cape Coast, people were even saying that hotel was for the Ahoys when they were building it. Okay, it was later I got to know it's for SSNIT. Okay, so those are the issues, and they are 5% shareholders. So, is it good? Are they politicians? Okay, so please, we'll get into those details. Okay, so fast forward. 2018, 2019, the processes were going on. Companies were asked to show interest, okay? 9 companies showed interest, okay? And then 6 of them were shortlisted. So I was happy when my honorable mentioned Freddie Blaze Sons Company. Interestingly, they were among the shortlisted companies. Permit me to mention them. Rock City Hotel Limited, right. 1. Yaado Development, Spartan Eves, Temple Investments, Westbridge Developers Ghana Limited, and Luxor Hotels Limited. These were the shortlisted companies.
Okay.
And so when they went in for the proper bidding, as Honorable said, the objective was to make $59.2 million for the hotels that you get in. And Rock City was able to put in a bid of a total of $61.2 million. Now, for the first lot, these 9 companies were all interested in the first lot, which is La Palm and Labadi Beach Hotel. The other 2 lots, no other company put in a bid except Rock City. Fact. They were not interested. Maybe it's because outside of Accra or whatever. Okay? But the condition is that you cannot get more than 2 lots. And so Rock City put in that. And one of them, I think they put in 2 million or so, which was very minimal. I think the trust, Busia, imagine, Busia is a luxury area, okay, outside of the city, the bustles of the city and go. So these are the issues. And when it was done and concluded, Rock City's offer was $10 million more than the next offer. And Spartan Eves is there. So I'm surprised the former national chairman is saying his sons put in over $150 million bid. Okay? Yes, it is possible. I'm not saying that's what happened, because the facts as I know, and this is from direct source. I'm not concocting anything here. Okay? So this thing, in bids, he knows that I know. You can offer a big thing, but when they investigate and see your background, you don't have the capacity to hold and sustain and achieve the objective for which they are divesting, they will not mind you.
Assuming without
so these are
that,
issues. Yes.
Assuming without admitting that.
Yes.
Freddie Blaze Sons Company offered that much, but does not have the capacity to sustain it. Are we saying that Brianna Champon's
they didn't offer that much.
Great, but are we saying that Brianna Champon's Rock City Hotel has that capacity to be able to acquire these shares and then manage
they showed
it, especially when
in the
there are
bid process
accusations or allegations that Rock City Hotel has been making losses And if Rock City Hotel has been making losses, then no one would have expected Rock City Hotel.
Nobody has put any statement. The Honorable Okujeto himself has not put statements out that this is the statement of account for 2021, 22 and co.
But it's that
2021, 2022
they've not filed their tax returns.
That's a different matter. Filing of tax returns doesn't mean you've made losses. It doesn't mean so. Okay? But you need to file. Yes, and I'm surprised. That's why I agree with the board chair. The board chair said there's been thorough process, and I agree. In fact, Justice, on the 3rd of February 2022, Graphic published the adverts, okay, for the tender. On the 7th of February 2022, Ghanaian Times published same, okay, after the economy paper for the international market is also done so. And let's put it on record, this conflict of interest matter doesn't arise because Brian Champon wasn't a cabinet minister as of 2022.
Okay.
He wasn't. In fact, there was speculation that he was even angry with the president because he was the national security minister also, right. and was not included in the next team. Okay? And so these are the facts. And so if he is a member of parliament, politically exposed, here we go. In the United States, in the United Kingdom, government goes to poach people from the private sector to come into government. It happens, okay? And so you need to get proper agreement and engagement with them to leave their private sector and join the government, so the government structure can be functioning properly to the benefits of the ordinary people. And I've said that I'm a SSNIT contributor. Why should I sit down? I'm excited about this whole investment, though. Why should I sit down that every day there will be losses? Then what is the guarantee that when I'm going on pension, I will get what I'm due? Okay? What is the guarantee? So these are matters that should be proper investment. SSNIT had invested in real estate and co. Where are they now? They've sold all out. True or false? We have Almina SSNIT flats. We have Dansuman SSNIT flat. True or false? We have SSNIT flats replete all over the country. Okay? But because they were not making, they had to sell all of them. And so the hotels are there. They want strategic investors. I think it's a good thing. The conflict of interest will be a moot point because there's a precedence. And in common law jurisdiction, you know, case laws are very important and integral part of our jurisprudence. True or false?
True.
Yes. So there is a slight ruling on Franklin Templeton versus Ken Ofori-Atta. True or false?
That's very true.
Conflict of interest. What happened? And that's not different from this case. Okay? Brian was not sitting in any cabinet when these decisions were taken. And Elizabeth Ohene is saying that she didn't even inform the president about this decision. It was a board decision.
Yeah, according to her, they
yes.
don't need to inform
they
the
don't
president
need to.
Or to
okay, they are not compelled to. They can. Yes,
the argument she advanced
yes,
is that they are an independent body, and so once they have that independence, they can.
They've seen that as a challenge, and they have. That's why they are a board. They need to resolve that challenge, and they've taken the decision to resolve that challenge, and they've gotten a strategic investor who is coming to it. Look, we ask ourselves. So if it were a foreigner who won this thing, or any of these other 5 companies who won, would we have been quiet? Maybe Spartan East would have also generated a brouhaha, because it's the former chairman's son. You get it. But it's not fair, because they are Ghanaians, they are investors, they are business people. They should be able to have the opportunity to invest. Conflict of interest comes in when the position you hold, as a result of that position, you can have an insider information and thereby use that insider information to your advantage at the disadvantage of your competitors. That is where conflict of interest comes in. He was not in any position. SSNIT is not under the Agric Ministry. Okay? SSNIT is under Ministry of Finance.
Right.
So please, the conflict of interest matter is moot. Let's go to Sraj. Sraj will determine that case. The only one that I think if Okujeto is able to prove that, and I doubt it cannot be proven, is this tax issues. And you remember Brian came out and said Honorable Okujeto had specifically said 2023, and he said he has not filed any tax in 2023
But we are told
yet.
2021, 2022.
Yeah, those who are not. He specifically said 2020. That's why he dared him,
right?
And that he was going to give him Continental Hotel in Bato within the enclave there. He will give it to him and give him his Trasacco house that he's not been using. Okay, if he's able to authenticate that, you get it. Then Okujeto doesn't need that. So
petition the GRA to make those.
Oh no! He has the RTI. He has the right to do. He has the right to do that. Okay. All right. Let me run. Yeah. So please. Yes. So I think there's nothing. I agree with the board chair. There's nothing untoward about the processes.
Right.
It was very open, transparent, and it took time from 2017 all the way to 2022.
Right.
5 solid years of processes. And people were looking on. Last one. Rock City is running 1,000 room capacity hotel.
Right.
Okay. These hotels we are talking about, they are less than 200 rooms. Huh? You remember I was on your show when somebody said one was making profit, and I asked him, if you're making profits of 200 rooms, that's again 1,000. Then he said that the other one was making 54% capacity. You remember that time? What was on this? Yes. Then I said, 54% of 1,000 or 2,000 rooms vis-a-vis 98% of 190 rooms. Okay. Which one is making it profitable? Please.
Right. Okay, thank you so much, JC.
Rock City is a serious hotel.
The SSNIT statement.
You have 8 minutes.
Yeah, in the SSNIT.
Deal with, your responses, and then briefly touch on about just running mate.
Okay. In the SSNIT statement that they issued, they stated that the processes leading to the sale started on November 14th, 2018.
Okay.
That's about 6 years ago. Almost 6 years.
Right.
When at the time, Rock City Hotel was not even established. And yet, they miraculously got established later, found themselves in the procurement process, and knocked off 14 companies, 14 firms that were already in the process of acquiring these hotels. Also, Justice, when my brother was speaking, he decided to put aside the issue that I raised, the critical issue of conscience, of morality. Justice, leadership comes with responsibilities. It is okay for you to sit here tonight and claim that the president is not aware of this transaction. But the same president met Labour. Same president met Labour and refused to listen to Labour's advice and admonition for government to halt the sale. And you tell me that a strategic investment, a strategic institution like SSNIT, with its board of directors appointed by the president, it means that they act on his behalf. And so when Elizabeth Ohini tells us that they did not involve the president when you were appointed in the first place, it is because the one who appointed you did so with the belief that you were going to act on his or her behalf.
Right.
And so whatever Elizabeth Ohini and the board does, they do so on behalf of the president. So where is this argument that we did not involve the president? Even if President Akufo-Addo was not involved from the onset, this critical matter having been brought to his attention, his refusal to act is an approval of the transaction, which means that he's deeply involved because his cabinet minister is going to be the beneficiary of this. Look, it gets to a point where as political leaders, we have to think about this country called Ghana first before we act. We have to think about Ghana. If you think that because some of the SSNIT hotels are not making profit, as he is claiming, the best way is to sell them, privatize them, it's as good as making the argument that every state institution that is not making profit, every state institution that is not breaking even, every state institution that is no more profitable should be given out. But where lies in the principle of accountability? And so you hire people to manage an asset that belongs to you. In their performance of duty, they are not delivering to your expectation, and you think that the only solution is to sell them. And you even have the audacity to say that as part of the bid, you are looking at people with the leadership or with the managerial acumen. Is it an admission that as a government, that as a political party, that as SSNIT, a strategic state institution, we cannot find people with the managerial acumen to manage our state property, that any time that our properties or our enterprises owned by the state runs into debt or is running at a loss, the only solution, which is a lazy man's approach, which is the approach of cowards, is to sell such properties. What are we leaving for the future generation? Let's go deeper. Let's audit the book of all the other state agencies, and we'll find many more that are not profitable. And so the problem is not the institutions itself, it's about the leadership. Why do you think that the solution to all of this is privatization? Privatization. There are government hospitals running at a loss. The other government institutions, even some of the educational institutions, running at a loss. Are we going to be selling them? And so that solution is a lazy man's approach to governance.
Right.
Government must sit down, audit these institutions, identify the root cause of the problem, and begin to prefer a solution that works. And that solution certainly is not in selling it to themselves because they are in power. And I will use your platform again, Justice. I want to appeal to the conscience of Brian Achampon that when he goes to bed, he should think about the thousands of Ghanaian workers whose toil, whose sweat is what makes up SSNIT. He should think about the pain in which many of them have been subjected to.
Right.
He should think about the fact that he, as a cabinet minister, he as a member of parliament, he is there to act on behalf and for the people. If he alone acquires all of these things through insider dealings and all of that, and there are many things that suggest that indeed he was privy to some insider information. Are you aware that even his quotations, all the minimum amount that he quoted is the same as SSNIT's minimum amount that they quoted per their own insider reports?
Now where's that proof?
The proofs are there.
Where are they? Put them out.
SSNIT's reports prior to the sale, to the privatization, quoted that a minimum of 61 million and a maximum of 121. All of that report, the same amount.
Kindly step down from your time is up.
And they didn't take it. I mean, it's your own former national chairman that is saying it.
Kindly come in. I don't know.
So Justice.
Okay.
I am saying that. Look, the good people of Ghana are disappointed with how President Akufo-Addo and his government have managed this country. We are disappointed with the fact that almost every state asset they are privatizing it and selling it to themselves.
Okay.
It started with
your time.
It started with a 2.25 billion bond. Remember how today, as we speak,
right,
almost every state institution, it is enterprise insurance that is providing insurance services. It is started with the fact that, as we speak,
okay,
everything that has to do with this government, members of the Akufo-Addo family, members of the Akufo-Addo government, allocating all to themselves.
Okay.
They should take their hands off the SSNIT hotels.
Right.
But if they ignore and they go ahead with the sales, we can assure Brian Achampon that come 2025, January 7th, when John Dramani Mahama is sworn in as president, we will take steps to reset this country and ensure that these hotels are gotten back from these wrongful sales.
Thank you so much, Honorable Edem Agbana. I don't know if you still speak on the SSNIT hotels, or you look at.
I didn't touch on that. I didn't touch on that.
Because I gave you 8 minutes.
You give me 2 minutes to touch on that.
Just blabbing. They can't do folk.
Oh, that's what you're saying.
They are not winning. They are likely they said
we are winning. Do you know?
Vodafone, you remember? They said they couldn't even see. We're dealing with law. You are a law student. They just talk. They talk.
That's
you
what
can talk on the street. You can talk on the street.
And
go there. You remember?
I'm telling you that come January 7th.
In the court process, Okudeto's lawyer, is saying the Chief Justice Church godfather is Kusi Boateng, which is not true. She goes to ICDC and you are calling another church.
But I have godfathers in churches that are not attend.
They said she's the pastor.
They said godfather.
They said the woman
that's why you are wrong. Because we all go to churches. We all go to churches. I'm not a member. For example, Justice. I'm not a member of Empowerment Worship Center.
Sorry, Zori says. Zori says.
It's a godfather. So you can't use that to make the argument. Why is he changing the father? Why does he keep changing the panel? Why does he keep changing the panel?
What is this? Let me get mine.
Why does he keep changing the panel?
So please, as for this emotion and co, it's nothing.
Right.
We want strategic investor. And we've gotten a strategic investor.
Who is a strategic? Brian Achampon.
They should go to
Rock City is making losses.
Let them go there, okay? And some people were making the argument, why will you buy a company that is making losses? Look, we've got companies that virtually collapsed and people bought them. They sold over 300 of Nkrumah state enterprises. They sold it to themselves.
But Rock City is making losses.
I told you about catering rest-houses. They belong to SSNIT. Do you know that?
I know.
They sold it. You are happy.
They sold it to who?
Themselves. Who bought the Tamale one? One Maxwell.
That's not
something
true.
bought the Sunyani one.
That's not true.
Yes, these are on record. These are on record. And I've told you
which record?
I've told you
which record?
Go to 5% of Ridge Wire.
Which record? Which record?
Go and check SSNIT records.
No, which SSNIT records? Which SSNIT records? That they were
let me. So the SSNIT thing is a solid one. Let them use the legal process and let's see. Right. But me, I'm in support of it.
Let's have 2 minutes for running mates.
Okay.
Dr. Bawumia is made, you see, it's the sole responsibility of Dr. Bawumia, the leader of the party, to decide who his running mate is going to be.
Very well.
And then he's made that choice and submitted him to, I understand, to the president.
Yes.
Maybe it's just for the president's advice. But the legal process is to the National Council. Right. You get it? And so when it goes to the National Council, then the National Council, he will go and justify the reasons for that decision. When he does that, and the National Council is satisfied, they will endorse him, and he go, because it is his sole prerogative to decide who his running mate is. And I'm excited that he's made.
Is he the choice for majority of new?
Yeah, we've got yes. Why not? This is very popular amongst the grassroots and co. And he's the most popular member of parliament in the Ashanti region. Okay, it's a fact. When they did the primaries, when they did the primaries for the presidential, his constituency had about 89.5% for the presidential candidate Bawumia.
Right.
You get it. So it tells you how popular, Matthew Poku Prempeh is. And I know that he is from 2021, I knew he's the guy who is going to be. But I can't say certain things because of certain strategic positionings and cool things that were made. So I'm not surprised. If there had been any other person, I would have been surprised. Yeah, but I'm not surprised that his name has been put. And I think he's good to partner Bawumia to pull to excite our stronghold, to excite our stronghold for people to come out to vote. No apathy. Right. And there's not going to be apathy.
Yes, thank you.
That's a cardinal.
2 minutes.
Who
beats the NDC?
There's a cardinal principle.
Very well. He says they will beat you.
There is a cardinal principle in war.
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
And that principle, that principle is that. There's a cardinal principle in war, right, which states that
2 minutes.
Never interrupt your enemy or your opponent when he's making a mistake.
Right.
We in the NDC are happy that among all the people available at his disposal, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has chosen Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. We know Napo. We know him as an arrogant leader. We know him as a leader who never takes responsibility. We know him as a tribal bigot. And we know him as one person who is so arrogant that he's got no iota of respect for the good people of Ghana.
Right.
Recall recently when the people of Ghana called on him to provide us with a timetable for Dumsor, he asked us to go prepare our own timetable, timetable. Recall when he was Minister for Education and there was a mess at the computerized school selection system. Right. He went to the Independence Square and told the good people of Ghana that all the people that were mobilized by opposition when people were facing real challenges. And so for me, I remember him as one person, a cabinet minister, who in 2021 or so, when there was tidal wave affecting the good people, affecting the good people of the Volta, he told us that he will lead a demonstration against us if government decides to intervene.
Thank you.
That is the kind of person they have appointed. We will defeat them. They will not even be able to get up to 40%.
My name is Cesar. The show has been hot news. Goodbye.